So here we're following the story of these two brothers that discover that somebody in their village and community has become possessed by a demon and is starting to infect everything around them. So they try and get rid of this body, but in doing so, they create something much, much worse. Hi, welcome back to my channel and my review for When Evil Lurks. So this is an Argentinian horror film and was recently released exclusively to Shudder about a month or two ago now. And I've just actually been trying to catch up on all of the good 2023 movies that I might have missed. And towards the end of this year, this is one in particular that I've seen coming up on a lot of, lists for the best horror films of the year and everything like that. So I knew it was one I wanted to check out. I am someone, though, that has been a bit burnt out with the constant possession horror films. This is a subgenre that is crying out for something unique and different. I said this in my Talk to Me review. We get so many films like this that are all exactly the same, all but in name. And after a few rough ones this year, I was kind of feeling a little bit done with them. So I've been kind of dragging my heels a bit for watching this. But I'm glad I've finally given this one a go, because the reviews are right about this one. This is a genuinely unique and impressively different take on this type of possession film. So as well as being a possession film, this is also like a folklore horror as well. And all of the rules surrounding the possession, whilst being completely nonsensical, you will have to suspend your disbelief for this, but they are different, and I found it very interesting and entertaining to watch. And I think in some ways it actually made it scary as well, because it does break away from the usual kind of set of rules you normally get in these possession movies that stops it from kind of being scary outside of sort of just loud jump scares and whatnot. So I liked that this one brought something very different to the table, where it has a lot of genuinely scary and really unsettling sequences. And a lot of that's just because you have no idea where this thing is going to come from next. So when we're introduced to these characters at the start, they find that this family have been concealing somebody who has obviously they seem to all be in the know that this is a thing that can happen to people. They become rotten, or their bodies physically become rotten with almost like a virus or infection, and they have been a victim of this demon possession, and they know that if they don't do something about it, it's going to kind of spread across the community. So you're thrown into the story straight away, and I really liked the way it showed people begin to become infected by this. So when they load it up onto their truck, they try and get rid of this body, they drive it out for miles, and they discover that it's disappeared. And then from there, they basically recognise that things are going very wrong. The animals are acting strange. Some people are starting to do very unusual things. And they basically try and go and help the people that they know and care about, and try and get them far away from this place in the hope that will sort of, free them from this. And it's really as well about these two brothers, and one of them kind of reconnecting with his family who have left. He's got his ex-wife who he's estranged from, and he's trying to find them and basically get him and connect with the children again. And this is the circumstance that kind of brings them all together. This movie shows you very early on that it has absolutely no rules about how extreme it's willing to go. And that will be a good for some people, bad for others. I do like that. I feel like it was pretty bold and taking risks here, because I do see that a lot of possession movies we get, they always feel to me like they're being catered to a more teenage audience. So you always feel like there's sort of a bit of a filter on them, and they're a bit limited about where they can go, because a lot of the studios that release those type of films are concerned with the box office. Whereas this is a film that, it has no rules. It's willing to show you some really shocking violence, really explosive violence that comes out of nowhere as well. And, the stakes are high, because nobody is safe in the story. It doesn't matter whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're a child, old person, it does not care. It really does play out like quite a realistic story. Like, if all this was true, this was a real thing that could happen, it feels like quite a realistic telling of how this would play out. And I kind of appreciate the balls this movie had to go there with that. That being said, though, it does make for a very bleak watch. It's a pretty depressing film. Whilst it is good, it is one I'm recommending you watch. It's not one that I can imagine myself ever going back to again, or at least not anytime soon, because it is just so bleak. It's so heavy. And On top of that as well, it's almost exhausting to watch. You know, the situation, you feel like time is really a factor here, where they need to get a move on and escape this place quickly before they're all like taken in by this possession. So a lot of the scenes are very exhausting to watch, where people are all speaking over each other, they're screaming, you know, and it's just draining. It's just a draining experience, and especially as well because obviously it's Argentinian, it's a subtitled movie, and it does make it for a more difficult watch, where to keep up with everything that's going on, it is stressful and not always enjoyable at times. So like, even though I think the film was well made, at times I was finding it a frustrating watch. And especially when our main character, when he finds his ex-wife, she is just so hysterical. I don't know if it's over the top, but she's so hysterical that it actually just becomes annoying to watch the scenes play out with her in this situation, because you know, you can't really connect with her, because she just will not take any understanding or accept what is going on here despite what she's seen. So it is very frustrating despite being well done. I think that would be one of my negatives about the film, actually, is that the family, I don't feel like you get enough time to really feel invested in them. Other than the two brothers, really. You do get some time between these two brothers, but I feel like because the film is so concerned with shocking you and being fast-paced and having all sorts of horrific things going on, it doesn't give enough time to really let you into the story of this family and the dynamic between them. So I feel like you don't really you feel the sense of loss when certain things happen. And this is nothing as well to do with the fact that it's subtitles and difficult to follow. Like, I recently watched Train to Busan, and I thought that was a really emotional film. I thought that was an incredible, like, family story. And this one, for me, it didn't really do that, I didn't think. I think to some extent, I mean, the acting's all really good. It's nothing to do with that. I just felt like, given everything that's happening on screen, I didn't care about the fates of some of these characters as much as I felt like I should do. I will say this film has some really creepy scenes in it. If anybody that doesn't like possessed children, stuff like that, if that gets under your skin, there are a couple of scenes at the end here which, wow, they will send chills up your spine. That particular scene when they're outside the classroom and they're looking in the darks in the middle of the night, and you've got this group of kids all together just staring into nothing. That is a freaky scene. I was pretty impressed by the way they did that. That really got me, that. So yeah, it's genuinely quite a scary film. And as I said, because it's unique in the way this possession spreads and the things that happen, you can never really tell what's coming next. It's not like waiting for a ghost to give you a jump scare. It's not like that. Like, people start to act unusually around you and then something big will happen out of nowhere. So it does catch you off guard. And so it's a stressful film to watch, but in a good way, I think, especially where the scares are concerned. And to add to that overall bleakness, you get those final scenes and the reveals of the realizations for these characters for everything that's been going on back in the mother's house. And yeah, that was really grim and twisted as a conclusion to this story. And I feel like maybe that's where I started to think that the film was trying a little bit too hard to be depressing and shocking. You know, okay, fair enough, it's decided on its tone. It wants to be a dark, gritty film, and, you know, not everything has to have a happy ending, especially in horror, but I did start to notice I felt like it was trying a little bit too hard there to really end on a very dark note. And I think for me, that's probably why the movie wouldn't warrant a rewatch for me. Like, the story isn't good enough for me to go through this movie again, to have to sit through the depression that this two hour movie is. As I said, it's well made. It's a good movie. It's a movie that I would recommend you watch once, but I think just the overall tone of the film is something that would probably keep me from ever really wanting to go back to see this one again. So overall, still an interesting film, and one I'd advise you watch, especially for horror fans. Like, I can definitely understand the reason why this one's getting so much praise and really working for some people. And like I said, it does have some really interesting elements to it, and, you know, a lot of really good horror scenes in here. It's just not entirely for me. I'm still going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 though. So please do leave down in the comments what you thought of When Evil Lurks. Thanks a lot for watching my review, and I'll see you next time.